Welcome to the first part of the Child's Play saga. That's right, we're doing all 6 installments of the Child's Play films. As always, here's my host Heather. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. Chucky? Not much to say. So, let's talk about Child's Play. Made in 1988, one of the most influential films of all the horror genre, introducing the world to a maniacal little doll that everybody seems to love. Hell, I even have a tattoo. Can you guess where it is? Heather, okay, now here's the thing. I grew up with the Child's Play films.
And I did not.
She did not, okay? Now, when I was growing up, I was deathly afraid of Chucky, okay? I was afraid because he was so small that he would stab me right in the dick. That was...
Oh, that's a...
You see what I'm saying? You open a door, right?
Yeah, and because he's so short.
He's so short, you don't see him. Bam! Right in the dick. So, that has been my life. Now, I grew up with it, so I remember when I was a kid growing up, there was a line of toys called My Buddy. And everything that you see here on this doll is based on My Buddy. I found out that when Don Mancini wrote the Child's Play films, it was actually supposed to be a satire, which is really weird. They reworked it. Tom Holland, the director, who also did Fright Night, reworked the film to be a horror film, which is very interesting. So it's just weird to think that this could have been a wacky kind of humor-filled satire. Later, as the series goes on, there is more humor thrown in, but it didn't have that. So me being a kid, 1988 when this film dropped, originally the title of the film was Blood Buddy. Yeah, but they thought that was a little too close to the name of My Buddy.
It makes it scarier to call it Child's Play.
It does make it scarier. And I think they were afraid of the whole My Buddy thing and getting sued by Play School or whoever made, yes, Play School, who made My Buddy. Now, obviously growing up with it, I was a little kid at the time. I was about 9 years old when this film came out. So I was at the right age, it freaked me out, but you're obviously much younger than me and prettier. I still look better in a dress, everybody knows that. Yeah, so what were your reactions to first seeing Child's Play?
You know, I never intended to see it because I remember my little sister and I used to play with American Girl dolls, and she had a Felicity doll, and it had red hair, and my uncle, as a joke, teased us, and he said, "What is that, a Chucky doll?" And he showed me a movie poster, and I was deathly afraid. I was like, I'm never seeing it.
Oh my god.
I was so, and then I saw it anyway, on your recommendation, and I thought it was, I don't want to say funny, but I thought it was brilliant. Like, the first 2 movies, I think, are brilliant. Like, they're witty, they're creepy, it's like every kid's worst nightmare, but they do it entertainingly. I think if you're an adult, this movie is great. If you're a little kid, I'm so sorry that you ever saw it.
Well, the thing too is that initially this film clocked in at over 2 hours. It's a tight 87 minutes as it stands, and the movie stands the test of time. It's still a great movie today. You can watch it. People love it. But it was originally clocked over 2 hours, and what Tom Holland wanted to do was he was looking to do a very Hitchcockian version of this film, where it's drawn out, and only until the last maybe 20 minutes do we discover, because they were going to do the red herring thing. With the character of Andy, who has the Chucky doll, he was supposed to be a red herring. The audience in the original script was supposed to think that Andy was the killer. Do you think that would have worked, or...
As a 5-year-old?
Yeah, that this kid... Well, I mean, we've always... Whether it's Damien or whether it's the good son, there's always been evil children in films, especially in Japanese films.
I just feel like that's not... I'm glad admitting to it.
Yeah.
It's just not believable enough, in my opinion. Like, he was too innocent, but he wasn't, like, creepy innocent.
He's a horrible actor.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
The kid who plays...
in a polite way.
Yeah, the kid who plays Andy in this film, holy crap. His acting gets better in the second film, but in the first movie, I didn't know whether...
He's just a cute little kid.
He's a cute little kid, but I don't know if he was fucking retarded. Like, he was just like...
I didn't think he was that bad. He just, like, he had the charm of, like, face, and that was all he offered.
Yeah.
And I think it worked because, like, cute little kids with charming faces play with these dolls, and that makes it scarier that something so sinister could happen to an innocent little child, because that's how people think of children.
Of course. I mean, and that's what it is that this film represents loss of innocence, and things not always being what they are. And that you could have a cute doll, and it could take on the guise of an evil serial killer. In this film, we have, as always, the talented Brad Dourif plays Charles Lee Ray, the Hillside Strangler. He puts his soul into the Chucky doll. With voodoo, using voodoo. Any movie with voodoo is good.
It's funny.
I think voodoo makes every movie better.
Funny, I'm sorry.
No, I think absolutely. I think every movie that has voodoo usually is a better film. Now, as you can see, Charles Lee Ray puts his soul into the doll, and the whole plot is that he needs to get out of this doll's body, otherwise he becomes trapped. Now, you see, the thing is when you have horror films, you have to establish very early on what are the rules. The rules of Child's Play, the original film, is that if Charles Lee Ray, aka Chucky, is stuck in this doll too long, he becomes human and he's damned. He's just stuck. Now, we get this great shootout at the beginning. This whole sequence. You know,
the toy store thing was creepy. It's like, you know, because again, with the innocence, toy stores are a wonderful, magical place when you're a child, and then you have serial killers transferring their souls into dolls, getting shot. Like,
yeah.
It was just so.
It's such
absurd.
a good opening.
Yeah.
It's such a great opening to a movie.
It's really cool.
Not what you would expect. Now, Chris Sarandon, who was also in Fright Night, plays a police officer in this film, who is investigating the Hillside Strangler, Charles Lee Ray murders. He does an incredible job. I think that he really holds the film together for the most part. You know, and the funniest thing is that I remember when you first saw this, you said to me, you were like...
The first thing I texted you was, who buys a doll in an alley from a panhandler?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. I laughed so hard.
The wonderful Catherine Hicks, and what's even funnier is it's her wacky kind of slutty friend. What was she doing in the alley with a street peddler?
Yeah, and then he tries to rape her later in the movie. It's like, what were you doing with him?
Yeah, what the it's like, I understand maybe she was on a smoke break and she was outside, but what the fuck was she doing out there? Like, and then the other thing too is like, how is, I guess, you know, if you're looking for money for booze or drugs, you're like, hey, I got this, you know, this My Buddy doll, and you know, maybe you fucking blow me, you know, you can give you the doll. I don't know exactly if that's how it went, but that could have been the Child's Play porn parody.
Child's Play porn parody, yeah.
Catherine Hicks plays the mother, and she's actually tremendous in this film.
I think she's great.
Yeah, because the thing is that I think that if you had had a lesser actress playing the mother, Catherine Hicks is the glue, because it's every parent's worst nightmare.
To have anything bad happen to their child and their doll, that's just so unexpected.
It's pretty crazy. Now, this is going to be hard for you to imagine, but you're going to be very familiar, and you probably won't guess who the doll was designed around and who was going to originally play Chucky. You ready? John Lithgow.
Really?
Right? Doesn't that seem weird?
It does.
But that was their original choice. Unfortunately, John Lithgow went on to do a couple of other films, and they couldn't secure him, and he really wanted nothing to do with it.
He doesn't have the right voice. Like, it's not... I feel like Brad Dourif has something like a scratchy kind of sinister edge to his voice.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Dourif makes this... Without him, there's no Chucky, there's no franchise, there's no
Even
nothing.
the horrible Chucky movies, and in my opinion, half of them are horrible. Just putting that out there, I'm sorry. Even... He's always good. He always brings something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, yeah, one way or the other. I mean,
he's charming.
Yeah, he's kind of the glue holding the whole film series together.
You're terrified of Chucky, but he makes you laugh, and you enjoy his films.
Everything about him.
Everything about him.
Okay, here's another crazy one. Aside from the John Lithgow fun fact, the original title for the script was not Blood Buddy. That was the second title. The original title was Batteries Not Included. But unfortunately, they found out that Steven Spielberg had put, he made a film called Batteries Not Included. So then it became Blood.
What a great title.
Oh, you kidding? I mean, that would have been great. I think Child's Play ultimately works the best. Now, the way this was received, and it's very hard nowadays, I guess because of, it's 2015 now, and the world that we live in is just so different. But when this film was being made, this movie was made on a budget of $9 million.
Wow.
And in the United States, it made $35 million, and then, internationally, it popped it up to almost $100 million. So, making 10 times back your budget, that's why you got sequels.
Too many sequels. Head your way.
More sequels! It's funny because even in this episode, there's going to be sequels to this episode because we can't condense this entire Child's Play saga into one episode. This is another crazy thing. So, United Artists, MGM, a lot of transactions have happened with studios. It's basically they've played Pac-Man. They've just been gobbling each other up. So, when they had brought out Child's Play, they got a lot of flack from parents. There were people picketing the MGM United Artists offices.
Really?
And then when the film came out in theaters, not as bad as the Silent Night, Deadly Night thing that happened, but there were people who pretty much, they just disavowed this film.
This is worse than Santa because you play with a doll every day when you're a kid. It's not just a Christmas thing.
Of course. What's even crazier with this thing is that the film comes out and it does bonzo numbers, but Play School got involved with them and said, hey, listen, if you're going to do this movie, we're fine with it that you're using the imagery that's kind of like, the My Buddy imagery for the good guys dolls. It's uncanny. But they said within the marketing, you really can't use Chucky. So this is why we always talk about these films early in their franchise. You don't see that horror villain up front. If you look at the original, look at the original Child's Play movie poster, the original one sheet, you're going to see there's no Chucky in that. Watch the original trailer and the television spots for Child's Play, no Chucky. They did not want him in the ads. Now this is what it leads even further. Because of the controversy, MGM United Artists had decided that even though they made 10 times their budget back, after the original film, they sold the rights to Universal Pictures, which meant that from Child's Play 2 all the way to Curse of Chucky are Universal films, and he is now a Universal property. The same people who own the Universal Monsters, they own Chucky. So it's like, in hindsight, somebody at MGM UA, they've got to be kicking themselves in the ass.
I would hope so.
Yeah. You threw away a ton of money.
Because they really, I don't know what's the word, they really killed these. They just kept shoving them down people's throats there. There are too many of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, once
you figure that out once you get to see, then it becomes so apparent that it needed to stop during movie season.
Well, it's funny because there was Dolly Dearest. Some people even accuse Puppet Master. Some people accuse, Pinocchio's Revenge. There was this subgenre of killer doll films.
Well, now obviously.
Oh,
that's a whole category of horror now.
Yeah, it's a subgenre that.
And it really still scares some people. Some people are afraid of clowns, and there are clown horror movies like what was it, Hit? And then there's now there are just doll horror movies. There's I can't remember most all of them. Even Saw, like Jigsaw is like a doll.
Yeah, the little puppet.
There's Annabelle.
There's so many things that have come down the pike. Even the Goosebumps series, they use the ventriloquist. And that's they're turning that into a film with Jack Black. I'm sure that'll be a steaming pile of shit. This movie, Don Mancini wrote it, Tom Holland directed it, and it has this legacy. It really has. It's one of those things. They've run this you know, in retro theaters, they've run it, and it still works. It's a film.
No, it does still work. That's what people rip it off.
And the best way to buy this, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're going to do it, you can get it either on DVD or Blu-ray. You get the complete collection with Chucky. It's a little sparse on special features. They did do like a 25th anniversary edition of the Child's Play Blu-ray, and I recommend that if you're just a fan of Chucky, pick that one up because it's gorgeous. But for most people, for $40 or under, you can pick up the box set. It's worth it. It's worth it just to have the box set, have the complete collection. In the end, you know, I have to say though, would you recommend Child's Play?
To a target audience. I mean, if you like horror movies, which is, I guess, why you're here, then I would absolutely recommend it. I'm assuming that you've all already seen it if you're watching this, because...
Yeah, how have you not seen it?
How have you not seen it?
And if you haven't, seriously, like, shut this off now.
Yeah.
And go watch Child's Play. Because the legacy of Chucky is enduring for a reason. And it preys upon the fears of parents, children, and anybody else who has ever had a toy.
Yeah, I think that's what you end up thinking. It's like, why just my doll?
Yeah.
Why not my little stuffed penguin, teddy bear, or, you know?
It could be anything.
It could be anything, especially after Toy Story. Put two and two together. Wait.
Yeah, Toy Story is really creepy. I think it's a good double bill if you want for a Saturday night. You watch Toy Story and Child's Play together. So we're gonna review Child's Play 2, 3, 4, 5, and 12 as we continue with the Child's Play saga. On the next episode, we're going to talk about Child's Play 2 and what made that film so special. As always, it is Blu-ray on a budget. I'm Jerry Hara.
And I'm Heather.
And we will see you, I don't know if we're actually going to see these people anywhere. Maybe at the flea market?
On a budget.